too often.
That feeds back to the line, and that shot sticks to Talbot.
Well, nothing stings more than you feel like you're going to go home late and you go home early. And you go home early and to the Columbus Blue Jackets. That was a tough loss. And then the Montreal Canadiens the following year, and then last year the Tampa Bay Lightning were at times looked to be ripe for the picking in that series. Toronto couldn't get it done. And remember though, Montreal Canadiens, Tampa Bay Lightning both went to the Stanley Cup Finals, but still the sting for the Toronto Maple Leafs trying to advance in the Stanley Cup playoffs.
Tavares the face-off win. Dahlstrom steered it around, but now retreats up the right wing. Howard stood up there by Kroll. Now he'll get control of it, and the Rockland Manitoba product will play it back and get things organized. Zaitsev gives it back to Jace Howard. Final minute, first period, as Delcall played it into the corner. Kroll is there, and now more noticeable here in the opening 20 minutes. Out with Marner at the end of a period. And Broussard will steer it back inside the Leaf line. Sent in by Rafai. Talbot knocked it down behind the net, left it there. And it's flipped out past the glove of Rafai, and away goes DeBrincat. Hollowell got back in time. Now Nylander. Stützle came back to disrupt that. 10 seconds left in the period. Sanderson bumped, but stays with it along the boards.
A smart play by Sanderson. He knows the clock is ticking down. Instead of throwing the puck to his partner, he just eats it. Tight turn of the corner, eat it right there, let the clock die out. Smart play by the young defender.
So Tim Stützle, the lone goal, 11-15 from Gannett and DeBrincat. 1-0 after one for Ottawa. Our first intermission coming up with David Amber, Elliot Friedman.
The NHL preseason is underway, and it's the Ottawa Senators with a 1-0 lead over the Maple Leafs as we get you set for the start of the second period. It was a fairly quiet offseason for the Maple Leafs, which doesn't come as much of a surprise. Kyle Dubas continues to show confidence and faith in the Leafs core group, so his future is now in their hands. Dubas did not get a contract extension in the offseason, so he comes into this season in the final year of his deal. He was asked about that on day one of camp, saying, I am more than happy to go through the year, be evaluated on the year, and have the decision made. I believe in our group and know what we are capable of. A big season for the Maple Leafs, a big season for Kyle Dubas. Gentlemen.
Maple Leafs were fourth in the NHL in the regular season last year, a franchise record 115 points.
A lot of great coaches and teams that were really good failed to get good runs in the playoffs. You look at Barry Trotz for the longest period of time. Brian Murray, had great teams years in Washington. He built pretty much the winner in Anaheim that they won the cup with there. He wasn't there when they won it, but he pretty much built it. But coaches that have had good teams and had good runs during the regular season, that took a long time.
So we start the second period. We'd love to give you some stats from the first, but there seems to be some preseason bugs in the system. Gary, according to the official timesheet, there were a number of players that played over 16 minutes in that first period, so that tells you that accuracy was an issue. And here's Gaudette testing Talbot with a Leaf shot. They say the shots are 9-1 Toronto. We know that is not the case. Oh, again, we talk about regular season success, and those ranks explain why the Leafs had an all-time best regular season.
Well, when you're top of the league in these categories, it's just the proof is in the pudding. But again, there's the one thing that they really want, they haven't been able to accomplish, is hopefully coming this year for them.
Holmberg back to the line. That
is hopefully coming this year for them.
Holmberg back to the line. That shot deflected wide as Nylander was knocked down in front. Kept in by Dahlstrom. Holmberg, Nylander, and Morgan have generated some chances for the Leafs so far. Nylander's got it behind the net. Holmberg trying to get loose in front. Nylander hanging on. Then taken out there. Tentatively flipped out to center by Ottawa. Del Cole will dump it down the ice. Charging after Howard.
Well, the one thing you got to remember is that you have to go through that 82-game schedule to get there, and you can't just think that's going to happen either. You know, Matthews made comments last week that the regular season does matter, and he's absolutely right. You build confidence and character in your team, and you got to play those 82 games to get a crack at it. You can't just negate those and say, hey, we want to get to the building, the blocks, to take into the playoffs.
Better finish, better matchup as well. The Senators looking to qualify for the postseason, and right now publicly talking about this. There's a chance at front camp, rebounded, a huge stop there by Talbot, and another one they've got behind him and hit the post. And Cam Talbot's looked good early for Ottawa. Gambrell from long range, and Shalgren will hold on to that.
Well, sometimes you create issues for yourself, and this time here, Talbot goes back, and this doesn't get around the boards high enough or hard enough, and it turns over, and it's going to end up coming right back to the net as this one gets kind of muffled by Gannett out front, and then all of a sudden, Camp is standing there right in the slot, waiting for it, and it lands right on his tape. Good pass right there from Anderson, and Talbot does a nice job of coming across, tracking the puck, and sealing off any holes there might be in his body, not letting it through.
Leafs control a defensive zone face-off out for Simmons, and Alex Steeves charges after it. Watch there by Hamonic. Lucchini unable to clear. It'll come back to Hollowell, the former Super A-Hound, with Rafai. Penalty coming up, and this is going to... Is it going to be the Leafs, or is it going to be coincidental?
I think Simmons might have got a stick up as he was cruising into that slot area, trying to get position. And
it's like Sanderson's going with him.
It might be both. It wasn't like a crazy type battle, but you'll watch in the slot area here. There's the first one, and there's the second one as he gives him the head wrap coming around. So Sanderson draws the first one for hitting them high, and then Simmons is like, hey, kid, I don't think you're going to take that kind of liberty with me. And gave him the roundhouse elbow, dropping him. So 2 penalties that are penalties, and they'll head to the box for the 2 minutes. We'll have a little 4-on-4. The ice will open up a little bit.
So Giroux and Stützle.
Ice will open up a little bit.
So Giroux and Stützle. Marner, Tavares, and that face-off won by the Leafs, but Zaitsev broke it up, and now he'll take charge.
I like the fact that Jake Sanderson, you know, he sees Simmons coming into the slot area for position, and he boxes him out. And yeah, he gets a bit high on him, but the fact that he knows who Wayne Simmons is, and he didn't shy away. He went right up and boxed him.
Now Tavares trying to shake the checking of Giroux, with a hot shot just went wide. Tavares and Giroux separated by just 1 point in games over the last decade. 2 of the top scorers for the last 10 years. Stützle has the puck and trying to swing away from Hall. Hall stays with him. Gannett, who set up the first goal in front of the net, and Marner there defensively. And it went off Shalgren, and now Hall. Giordano's with Dahlstrom. And that pass for Nylander doesn't work. Malgin's going to beat out the icing. And Nylander in front had it jump over his stick as the Senators looked like they stopped, anticipating an icing call. Back comes Christian Rubens. In the corner, Del Cole. Dennis Malgin at center. Jumping up is Prahl, and that pass missed Nylander. Here's Brandstrom. Now onto the left side. Del Cole can't take the DeBrincat pass. David Camp comes back. Now it's Dahlstrom. Team back at full strength as Sanderson And Simmons return. Camp trying to charge in there. Along the boards, a hit from Simmons on Gervinti. Now Simmons with a hit on Brandstrom, and he'll head off after losing his stick, but he got a couple of heavy hits. There's a Sokolov hit on Hollowell. Onto the left side, it goes for Aston Reese, and here the hitting is picked up since Sanderson and Simmons got acquainted.
Well, and it should. I mean, these guys are fighting for jobs. I mean, get out and be physical.
That shot hit a leg in front. It is picked up since Sanderson and Simmons got acquainted.
Well, and it should. I mean, these guys are fighting for jobs. I mean, get out and be physical.
That shot hit a leg in front.
Especially if that's what you do. If you're a body-on-body type player, you've got to get out and bang bodies to get yourself going.
Wayne Simmons comes right back out. With Aston Reese and Minton. Here's Zach Aston Reese, 15th in the league in hits last year. Hollowell to the line. Justin Hall's on the move. Hall in behind the net. Trying to give it back to Simmons. Tracked there by Sanderson. Good cycle shift by the Leafs. Mark Giordano holds on. Justin Hall scores! Leafs take advantage of the zone time, and the game is tied.
Well, CC, you mentioned the Leafs come out this period, and they've been banging bodies and turnover pucks. Hall gets down low and he joins the offense. Simmons kind of grabs the rebound off that battle at the boards, and then he just floats up high, but Hall stays down. And Sanderson goes up to be with Simmons. He follows Simmons around all the way to the back door there, but Hall gets the play from Giordano. He steps in, he snaps it, and he finds the far side on Talbot. This one is all tied up this afternoon, but good job by Hall to recognize, to go down and help create offense down low. And Simmons supporting him, getting that loose puck off the wall. You know, you don't have to stay in your position in the offensive zone, especially the way the game's played now. You got to be willing to move around the zone. Good job by the Maple Leafs.
5:59, the time of the goal. Hall had 3 last year, 1 against Ottawa. John Tavares has got it back to Dahlstrom. Gary, in the summer, a lot of people were wondering about Hall's future with the Leafs. That seems to have quietened down with the non-signing so far. Discussed in the first intermission of Sandin, and now Liljegren on the injury list. Here comes Mitch Marner, along with Gaudette. Marner swings wide, and Sanderson recovered, but Marner stays with it, drops it back. Hollowell, Marner, back to Hollowell, and that shot by Gaudette off Sanderson and ricocheted out.
Right now, the Toronto Maple Leafs have picked up the pace. I mean, they are on top of Ottawa right now, and we're seeing some turnovers because of the pace that the Maple Leafs are playing at.
Sanderson gives it to Giroux. Claude Giroux ahead, and then jumps the stick of Stutzla down into the Leaf zone to brink it on the forecheck. Out at center it goes for Malgin, and coming back to gain control is Stutzla. Looking for Giroux. Brandstrom jumps up. Here's Eric Brandstrom. Short side shot off the blocker of Shalgren, and away goes Holmberg. Holmberg's pass broken up by Giroux. Talbot out to knock it down. Leafs are changing up. Stutzla over skeets that. Turned over. Nylander's in. And across scores. Dennis Malgin, and the Leafs have the lead. The goals come a minute 56 apart.
Well, I mentioned the cleanliness of exiting your zone, and this one isn't very clean. The pass to Stutzla gets turned over by Nylander, and he knows Malgin's there. Absolutely doesn't have to look at him, not once. Why give Talbot the opportunity to read your eyes? And as he picks this up, he can tell Malgin's there, and all he has to do is wait out Zaitsev. And once he gets around the stick of the outstretched Zaitsev, he puts it right in the wheelhouse of Malgin, and he fires it into the back of the net. Good start to the second period for the Leafs.
5:59, and 7:55 the time of the goals. First Hall and now Malkin from Nylander. And it's 2-1 Toronto at Scotiabank.
Monday night, New York City, heard it going down. Friday night, midnight, Atlantic City, slash machines, ring, 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 when they ring off. Lock the doors, that's when those just Cheetos.
We roll out, we roll on dubs, rolling above the theater unit, we controlling the club. Like a BT commercial, I'm wrapping them up.
Let me tell you what they say when I'm pulling up on Charles. They say,
Bad Boy and Bad Boy Le Parfum, the new fragrance, Carolina Herrera.
What's the move? On a wild out, catch a groove. She said, where you going? What's the move? On a wild out, catch a groove. What's the move?
Electronics keep us connected to our world. Recycling ensures the resources inside devices are recovered and reused. More than ever, it's what's inside that counts. The future is in your hands. Don't let it go to waste. To find out more, visit returnit.ca/electronics.
Or in Marine, the largest Mercury dealership in Canada.
If you want to increase your chances of making the hockey club, find some chemistry with one of their star players. That may help. Malkin's effort here going in to get this icing. He negates it. The Senators' defense doesn't pick up Nylander, but that one kind of bobbles off his stick. And Nylander says, hey, I appreciate the effort, and I'll reward you with this one right on your tape. And Malkin makes no mistake, and they have shown some really good chemistry thus far in this game this afternoon, finding each other down low especially.
And Gary, there just happens to be a spot open on the left wing of the second line, presumably with Tavares and Nylander. And that's the way Sheldon Keefe goes. Malkin's trying to get his attention, and Giordano scores. See if that was tipped en route, but the Leafs had three, and looks like Alex Steeves may have got a stick on it.
Right now, the Sens on their heels a little bit, and I mentioned the pace of the game for the Leafs really picked up here at the start of the second period. Started with a few bangs. Face-offs always important. The Leafs are really good up top, and this is just a simple puck to the net that bounces off the Steeves and gets in behind Talbot. Sometimes there's not a lot you can do. If you're Rubens, you know, you try to get stick there. You don't want to let him have his stick on the ice. You try to get stick, but sometimes it can go off of his leg or his skate or whatever. And good job by going to the net for Steeves. You get rewarded. And the Maple Leafs have taken a 3-1 lead.
Steeves played 3 games with the Leafs last year, had an assist, 23 goals with the Marlies in 58 games. Mark Giordano has 2 assists in this second period spree, and Hall gets an assist as well.
Well, Simmons does a nice job of rolling this to Hall, and it's just a matter of getting into the wheelhouse so the puck can go to the net without having to dust it off at all. Make sure it's getting there as quickly as possible, and a little bit wide, but it worked out A-okay for Steeves.
So 3 and 2-14, the last 2 coming in an 18-second span. As the Leafs dial up a little more speed and physicality here in the second period. Here's Dahlstrom, David Camp rolling it through. And that is knocked away, and Delcole at center. Anderson comes back, and Dahlstrom's got it. There's Joey Anderson flipping it back as the Leafs start a change. Travis Hamonic and Jake Sanderson, a stretch here, and that gets by Jarventi. Icing called as Sanderson tried to send away Jarventi.
Well, you mentioned if Malkin could work out, if he was able to work out and fit on that line, that really gives Sheldon Keefe a plethora of opportunity to figure out his bottom 6. I mean, yeah, Engvall is going to be out for a period of time, 6 to 8 weeks with that sports hurt, but you've got Yarncrove and you've got that. You got Kerfoot. I mean, you've got a lot of options forming that third line.
Here's Malgin handing it off. Centered in front. Holberg. Stopped by Talbot. His best save of the second period. It'll come back to the line. And Rafai unable to hold the zone. Mac Hollowell.
Imagine having Kemp as your fourth line center. I mean, that's the strength of this team up the middle, and some of their bottom six players, if they can fill it out, it makes them a very dynamic team.
Well, that's one of the things I wondered about is Nylander charges back in. Could you have a third line around Nylander's talents and push that checking line down? As you mentioned, David Kemp and company on a fourth line to shut things down.
Well, you know, you're not. It's a fourth line, but I'm just saying it's a fourth line. But you can build up all the strength.
Quality and durability are built into every Toyota. Order yours today. Learn more at shoptoyota.ca.
After playing 8 games with the Leafs in 2019, Dennis Malgin is in his second go-around in Toronto, and there's no denying that he has skill. 19 goals and 21 goals in his 2 seasons in the Swiss League, including this beauty highlight. The Senators making a quick goalie change. Kevin Mandolese now in net for Ottawa.
Cam Talbot's afternoon is done in his first appearance. And again tonight we'll see Anton Forsberg. Ilya Samsonov will start for Toronto. Justin Paul a goal and an assist. Giordano a pair of assists. And they'll work it ahead, and here's Gaudette. Also with his eye on a spot. Perhaps the second line or deeper in the lineup. Out comes Tavares. Back into the Senator zone. Working against Brandstrom. Trying to center. That one denied. Gets past Marner, and Kroll moves up. Knocked down by his old Marley teammate Rubens. Dahlstrom off the boards. Indirect picked off. And away goes Stutzla, the Senator goal scorer. And good backtrack there to break things up by Minton. Fraser Minton, the Vancouver Pro. Stutzla, the Senator goal scorer. And good backtrack there to break things up by Minton. Fraser Minton, the Vancouver product, who will head back to junior and play for Kamloops, who will host the Memorial Cup. That shot going high. Gary, better say hi to Fraser Minton's parents, because they were hoping this game would be televised to see their son for the first time playing in an NHL uniform.
Well, he gets a check mark in the plus box for that back check and the lifting of the stick of Tim Stutzla there. That was a great defensive play.
Sokolov got jolted there by Simmons, who's been noticeable in the second period. Now a stretch for the veteran as Wayne Simmons works in. Leafs changing in behind him. He'll cycle it down, and Sanderson gets tagged there by Kemp. Along the boards, Aston Reese to Anderson. Over to Hollowell, and Mandolese turns that aside. Broussard is knocked down by Aston Reese. David Kemp can't cross the line, and now Jake Sanderson looks up ice. Off the stick of Broussard indeed.
Well, if you're Wayne Simmons, the one thing you're proving to the Toronto management is clearly like, don't forget about me. I know I've been around a long time, and I know you got a lot of you young guys in here, but I can still play the body, I can play a gritty game, I can be hard to play against, and I can still produce. So he's had a pretty good showing thus far this afternoon.
Sokolov out at center, trying to find Lucchini. Justin Hall up off the state of Holmberg, and Mandolese up to set that up. As the Senators work through center, Gambrell is bumped. Can't cross the line. Nylander back to Hall. Jarventi looking for a loose puck. Hall. Jarventi looking for a loose puck. And now the Senators up with it. Watson. Hounded there by Morgan, and Nylander will take over. Under 7 remaining in the second period. Ottawa scored first. Leafs have the last 3. Won by this man. Morgan in front. And up ahead it goes now. Gambrell back the other way. Over the line it goes. And Giroux will turn. Morgan got back and off his stick and out.
Look at the Ottawa Senators. They finished 27 points behind the Washington Capitals, which was the last wildcard team to get in. A big part of what their problem was there, the starts and the goaltending that they've been getting over the last few years. The Matt Murray experiment just didn't quite work out. Of course, he'll be with the Toronto Maple Leafs. But giving Anton Forsberg, a guy who's played really well for them, an opportunity to be the #1 guy last year and finish the season off, reward him with a contract, and bringing in a guy like Cam Talbot with the NHL experience he has, they're hoping they're going to solidify a good 1A, 1B punch and help them get off to a much better start this year.
Talbot acquired on July 13th from Minnesota for. Up comes Gaudette. He's bounced at center by Stützle.
A little less exuberance. The Senators last year were like, the rebuild is over, and we all know how that went. This year, it's more like, we want to be playing meaningful games in March and April, and we think we can do that. And they've tempered the expectations, and I think that's a good idea. They've done a great job over the summer, bringing in upgrading their talent level for sure. And I think Jake Sanderson's going to be a great fit on the back. Their defense still needs a bit of massaging. I think he'll be a big help there.
Here's Michael Del Col, twisting in the Leaf zone in behind the net. Back to Hamonic, a shot right on, a big rebound, and now it's Jake Sanderson across, and a Broussard shot fanned on. And out comes Mitten, it's a 2-on-1. Here's the kid, Fraser Mitten across, and Jake Sanderson broke it up. 2-on-1 for the Leafs, and Sanderson makes the defensive play. Here's Marshall Rafai, another guy from Harvard. The Leafs are well represented at Harvard and Notre Dame. Anderson with a nice defensive play on the Minton pass for Alex Steve.
With the NHL app, see highlights of every goal from every team by every player this season.
What is your biggest worry for her right now?
Been watching the water rise pretty steadily here.
Someone set fire to a car, and here come the riot police. Everyone to go. Everyone to go back. That's because they've set fire to something in the middle of the street.
Their thoughts on the moment we are all now in.
I'm Adrienne Arsenault. This is The National.
I have an idea. Afternoon puzzle?
Here's an idea. With RBC, we see the big picture of the value we get with our bank account. Total savings on monthly fees, total rewards points earned.
I love seeing the big picture.
Get powerful benefits with RBC Vantage. Get powerful benefits with RBC Vantage.
Welcome back. For dinner tonight, we're going to do a little spread from good food for the whole family. I think you'll enjoy it. Anybody can make it. Anybody can order it. Now, I'm going to add some delicious little friends, just like so. Good food couldn't be easier, couldn't be tastier. That's good food.
NHL Live is part of Sportsnet Now Premium. Visit snnow.ca.
Keeping an eye on young Jake Sanderson as he gets his first look at National Hockey League opponent. Pace, and I'll tell you what, watch this recovery. Mitch Marner, he can move, and he gets the open pivot, gets the stick. He leads with his stick. That is solid defensive play. And how about this? Not panicking, keeping his stick in the passing lane, keeping his skates in the passing lane as well. As a young defenseman, it's like, they call it the R factor. Assess, react, execute. How fast do you assess the play? How quickly do you react to it? And do you execute it? And both times there, pretty good.
Senators expect he'll be this season. Although DJ Smith has said can't give him too much too soon, but doesn't look like top 4 minutes is going to be too much, does it?
I don't think so. And I think playing with Hamonic is going to be a real big plus. And by all accounts, he asks Travis a lot of questions. He asks him about the system, what DJ's trying to implement. He's not scared to ask questions. That's a young player. You know, you got to lean on your veterans to help you. I think Hamonic will be a real good fit for him to start things off.
Got lots of company down there.
Yeah, it's glad not a stray stick about to get me in the yap. There's not a lot of space to move.
There's Holmberg, great pass. Morgan's in again. Curls back off the bench, a shot, and Mandelese's got that as Mac Hollowell got it through.
Good pace through the neutral zone for the Maple Leafs. I mentioned their pace in this period much better. Good stretch pass, and then there's the one right up the middle to Malgin. He does a nice job of delaying, and he draws all the attention. And when everyone starts, good stretch pass, and then there's the one right up the middle to Malgin. He does a nice job of delaying, and he draws all the attention. And when everyone starts turning their skates towards Malgin, he finds the opening in the middle and the shot to the net. Good job by Hollowell to be there in front for the tip.
Hollowell up ahead, and Malgin's got Holmberg on the move again. Nylander's inside the line, but a good stick there by Brandstrom to force him back. Talk about Sanderson's minutes. Brandstrom trying to nail down a top 6 job. And a breakaway from Malgin. They caught him on a change and off the post, and a penalty is coming up against Ottawa as Malgin got in behind.
Well, Sanderson doesn't like the call, but once again, number 62 in an offensive play. He has been dynamic thus far this afternoon and stretching out the ice. Nicely done right here. The long stretch pass, and the Senators, you see 3 of them changing. And Sanderson trying to catch up to him. He didn't think he gave enough there to get the penalty, but nonetheless, the referee gives him the slashing call, and the Toronto Maple Leafs will head on to the power play once again. But that line with Nylander and Malgin, they have been something. And nice read by Malgin to see the change by the Senators and make himself available for that long 3-zone pass.
Third power play for the Leafs, 0 for 2. Second one looked more dangerous, and Giordano's shot nearly tipped in front. Marner whips it across. Nylander's on the far side, got Dent in the middle, down low is Tavares. Marner looking for the captain. Puck comes loose, Nylander's shot, and that hit a stick and went wide. Back up top, Giordano. One-timer, and Nylander fanned on that. Hamonic trying to clear, knocked down by Nylander. Back to Giordano. His shot got through, off Mandelese, who thought he had it. And now the puck is out, and it's a 2-on-1. Gambrell, Lucchini. Gambrell fires it, and that just went wide. Jake Lucchini had it knocked off his stick, and the Leafs, after giving up the shorthanded chance, trying to get a change here, but they'll work it in anyway, and here's Giordano in deep. Back for Marner. Mitch Marner trying to hook it across for Giordano. Looked like they were trying to get off Gary and just kind of opened up for the zone. Nylander's shot muffled there by Zaitsev, and Derek Brassard will clear.
Well, we'll get the full line change in now. Only Marner will stay on the ice, and that's just for this puck retrieval, and then I'm sure he'll work himself off.
That off a Senator stick, and Simmons comes on. It'll come back to the line, and Kroll has to go back to get it. 65 seconds left in the period. Down to the final 15 of the power play, and offside at the Ottawa line.
Well, the one thing you look for from your veteran players, you know, they're getting themselves ready for the regular season. These guys are obviously penciled in and ready to go, but you love to see this back check from Marner, and that tells all the young guys on the bench, doesn't matter how established you are in the National Hockey League, you still have to do all of the things, the little things in an exhibition game. He's busting it back into the zone to help negate a 3-on-1 goal to the net.
Mike Ross tells the players on the ice they're in the final minute of this second period. Justin Hall along the boards, and now a clear. And back onto the ice comes Sanderson. One shot for the successful power play here this afternoon. Carl Dahlstrom ahead and looking for Aston Reese. Zaitsev around for Brandstrom. Pounded there by Kemp and Aston Reese on it. Giroux hit hard by Aston Reese. A turnover. Kemp, Dahlstrom, and that shot blocked. And ends up over the glass. And Dahlstrom a little upset that he didn't take advantage of that setup.
Well, I'm not sure what Brandstrom thought it was there, but his pass from below the goal line is right onto the tape of the Toronto Maple Leafs, and an opportunity for them to make it 4-1 before they hit into the locker room. But good job by Mandolese. 13.9 seconds left here in the second.
So Nylander, Steves talking this over, and from the drop, Nylander went forward on Giroux. Ottawa able to control, and now quick counter, maybe a chance for DeBrincat.
Visit snnow.ca.
First of two tonight between Ottawa and Toronto Maple Leafs with a 3-1 lead after 2 periods of the opener in this doubleheader. Gary, he's not going to steal any headlines from Roger Federer in Switzerland this weekend, but Dennis Malgin's been very noticeable this afternoon.
Well, certainly after 2 periods this afternoon, I would say he's been the biggest story, his chemistry with William Nylander. I mean, we all know what Nylander could do, so I would say the story is Malgin, but both those guys have been the best 2 players on the ice. 2 right-handed shot guys who love puck possession, and they draw a lot of attention when they have it because they're capable of making things happen individually, and we've watched them both do this as individual drives to the net, and also they've outworked some players from time to time on the ice, and they find each other. Simply the chemistry finding one another has been fantastic. So when you look at 2 periods of hockey, I guess easy to say this looks pretty good. A good start for Dennis Malgin here in Toronto, and that would make Sheldon Keefe pretty happy if he could find a spot.
There's Dylan Ferguson, a 7th-round draft choice of Dallas in 2017, on a pro tryout with the Leafs to start the 3rd period, and he gives it up. Oh, puck in front, and Gaudette will take it away and swing through center, chip it past Sanderson and chase after it. Hamonic gets back there first. Taken away by Tavares. Sanderson checked him. Now Gaudette battling for the puck again. And Sanderson hangs in there. Chip pass ball. Stützle had it knocked off his stick by Marner. And now steered in on Ferguson. And not the surest.
That was an event.
Yeah.
It wasn't a hard shot even. That maybe what threw him off. It was kind of just a wobbler. And it kind of just fooled him, the speed of it and everything, as Giroux just laid it on the net softly.
Well, that might have caused a ripple down the Senators bench about getting shots on net here. Here's Nylander warding off a check, getting it to Malgin. Tacked there along the boards by Zaitsev. Crawl across for Dahlstrom. And that shot will stick to Mandolese in relief of Cam Talbot.
Well, as these teams evaluate their players and look to fill the spots that they feel they need to fill, and the competition of filling those spots, it's a difficult because sometimes you get multiple players that have good camps, and for DJ, you know, he knows that there's some opportunity here. And if a guy can come out and really show well for himself, there's going to be a place for him on the Ottawa Senator team. They can't afford to wait for guys to get there. They need to have a good start and get going, and they're going to get down to their numbers quickly. They're not going to take much time. They want to get this team together and get them going so they're ready to start.
As for Nylander, slides past him. Gannett is back, and now Jace Howlick's got it. He's bumped by Rafai. Hollowell hit there by Broussard. It comes back to the veteran Broussard. Fed the point, but Gannett had moved up and couldn't reach the pass. And now icing called against Ottawa. A lot of young players trying to make their mark, and there's a young referee, Carter Sandlak, Jim's son. Jim Sandlak, the former Vancouver Canuck, and Carter Sandlak, after playing in the OHL and a little bit in the ECHL, is now wearing
his dad.
Yeah,
he was a big man and hard to handle. I'll tell you that much. And he had some sandpaper to him as well. Another thing for DJ Smith, you know, this is a team that a lot of the young players have had to go through some rough patches, you know, and it's not been easy. And for DJ, he hopes that those rough patches have hopefully built some mettle amongst these young players, and now they're ready to be full-time NHL guys, ready to take the next step.
Just want to get off to a better Hamonic across for Sanderson and back. There's a Hamonic shot to broken stick there. That one popped in and being waved off, and the faceoff will come outside.
Well, the start is so important, as you know, and the number one thing is they need to improve their goaltending, as we'll see this one get batted in with a high stick as it comes off the back wall into the air, and then two high sticks, as a matter of fact.
The double high stick.
Yeah, can't do that.
Watson and Jarventi.
But there's a lot of other areas, you know, that this is a team that hasn't defended as well as they need to, and there's ways you can fix that, and that is improvement down the middle of your ice. I think adding Giroux, another year for Tim Stützle is going to be a big help. You know, everyone just getting a year older, hopefully down the middle will be stronger and helping defending in their own end, and also puck possession. The more you have the puck, the less you have to defend, and they're getting a pretty good solid top six on this team, so hopefully that will bring more puck possession and less time having to defend.
There's Jake Lucchini with it. Off the board, Sokolov back to Sanderson. Quick change of direction there for him. Lucchini's got it. Can't load up the shot. Hamonic bounced it wide. An interesting backstory. Certainly has the DNA to be a high-profile player. More on that in a moment as we approach 3 minutes of this third period. That one flipped back out of play. Well, we mentioned Jake, who is from Trail, BC. His grandfather played on the Edmonton Mercuries in 1950. That's Leo Lucchini, who led Canada in scoring to the gold medal for the Edmonton Mercuries at the World Championship back in 1950. So he is from quite a lineage.
I guess so, and it looks exactly like him. Incredible, they're clones of each other. He's had himself a pretty good game. He's a good skater, handles the puck well, and he goes into the traffic areas, and that's what you got to do to impress management when they're watching you.
See Ottawa on the power play for the first time, a delay of game penalty against Rafai, and it rolled down onto Mandolese. So now we get to see Sanderson quarterback a power play. Plenty of firepower up front. There's Giroux. Austin Watson, not usually a power play guy, but he gets an opportunity, likely net front presence. Swung across from DeBrincat. Now Watson trying to get it back. It comes to DeBrincat and Sanderson. Stützle available on this near side. DeBrincat back to Sanderson. Stützle, the Ottawa goal scorer. Back to DeBrincat in front, and he whipped it past Giroux. He'll get it again. Now Sanderson fires, and that sticks to Dylan Ferguson.
Well, when you acquire a guy like Claude Giroux, the one thing that you get along with him is some savvy passing on the power play. He's got a year open, he'll put it on your tape. And they've got a lot of good passers on this unit. You just saw Tim Stützle throw 2 bullet passes through DeBrincat. He'll get used to that. It takes a bit of time to get used to the velocity of a pass, where your partner puts the puck in your wheelhouse, so to speak, and they'll get better and better at it, but pretty good looking there a little far early on the power play.
Giroux with 350 career power play points. Stützle lost it, but gets it back now and sizes things up as he's watched by Nylander. Brandstrom now out on the point of this power play. Stützle calls for it, fired that right on, and Ferguson gets a piece. Brandstrom back the other way, Alex to Brickett, and Dylan Ferguson, who nearly got beat by a softie early, looks sharp now.
Well, got taken down by a puck in warm-up. Looks pretty good here. You know what? I had a great view of this shot here that came from DeBrickett, and it was labeled for the top left corner. And they work it around nicely again. They get it to DeBrickett. He's already rotating along the top of the circle, so he's coming in, and he's a right-hand shot, and he's looking at net. That's a heck of a glove save there by Ferguson.
Ferguson was with the Henderson Silver Knights, the affiliate of the Vegas Golden Knights last year, a Kelly Cup winner a couple of years back in Fort Wayne. Now Jarbenti. Brandstrom, his shot, and with Sokolov on the doorstep, the Lanceville, BC native Ferguson holds on to that.
Again, good-looking power play for Ottawa. They've moved it around well along the top, and Brandstrom and Sanderson, who are playing that quarterback pointing in the middle of the ice, they both took opportunities to shoot the puck, and you have to shoot the puck from the middle of the ice in order to open up the down-low plays and the bumper play up in the middle. If you don't shoot the puck and there's no threat to shoot, the penalty killers will just roll off the other players, and then it'll just die on the vine. So good to see the defenseman for the Sens on the power play taking the shots when they're there.
There's another stop by Ferguson, and like every other Ferguson who's ever played, his nickname's Fergie, and Fergie's been involved in the first 5 minutes of the third period. 10 seconds remaining in the Leaf penalty.
Well, 5 shots on this power play alone, and that falls by the story. Your best penalty killer has to be your goalie, and he's been pretty good here on this penalty kill.
This time Tavares wins the drop against Giroux, and the Leafs get a clear. John Tavares last year, 60.6. An incredible year in the face-off circle for the Leaf captain. Stützle's on the move. Leafs back at full strength. Nice check there by Gaudette. And he'll chip and chase with Mandolese coming out of the net to steer that. A giveaway. Gaudette across, and Tavares didn't get much on that. Trying to set up Gaudette now. It'll come back to Crawl. That shot blocked. Sprawling there was Austin Watson. Gaudette knocked down by Hamonic. Gaudette continues to battle. Marner up with it. Here's Tavares. That's the A shot. And a nice stop by Mandolese. Around it goes to the left point for Crawl and Tavares. Trying to flip it through. Knocked down by Hamonic. Marner gets it. Hamonic. Marner gets it back. Mitch Marner rigged wide. Just out of the reach of Hollowell. Here's Crawl. Hollowell down low looking for Tavares. Gaudette hit there by Hamonic. And Watson off the boards and down the ice. It's going to be an icing call, and Ottawa won't get a change.
Well, the Senators decided not to sign Adam Gaudette, so he made his way here to Toronto. And your playing team is a little extra spice in it for you. Does a nice job of stripping Tim Stützle at the blue line, and he makes the right play. I'm not going to try to go around Sanderson, chip it by him, start the forecheck. You're just finishing a penalty kill, and then he searches out the puck and lays it right into Tavares, who just can't get full wood on it.
The Senators were out for over a minute 20, but now get a change as it's rolled down the ice. Back to get it, Rafai. That goes off Dahlstrom. Christian Rubens moves up in front of the Leaf bench. Now pass for Del Colo, who steers it down into the Leaf zone. Dahlstrom up the boards. Far side, Rubens after against Steeves. Steve bounces off him. Fraser Minton up the boards and out. Leafs talking about the high IQ of Fraser Minten, who prior to the draft meeting with the Pittsburgh Penguins actually went out and read Brian Burke's book so he would be fully ready for anything that our old colleague will throw at him. Bounces it down, and Mandalese out to play it. Morgan came up with it. Back to Giordano. Justin Hall to Nylander up top. His shot is deflected high. Morgan along the boards for Giordano and Hall. Both defensemen with a pair of points in the game. Nylander unable to hold the zone, and he'll reboot back at center. 8 minutes into the third. David Kamp's on the move. Gary's not a full house, but it got loud here as the young fans here on a matinee at Scotiabank.
Yeah, the wave going here. They got her going.
Lead feed for Watson. Rafai back behind his own net. Hollowell a stretch pass off Anderson's skate. David Kamp after it. Hamonic took a whack at that, and Travis Hamonic's on it. And sent back to center.
Other than the power play Ottawa has had, it's a lot of possession for Toronto, and I mentioned that one of the keys is going to be defending less for Ottawa, figuring out ways to have the puck more often 5-on-5 here.
Maybe a break here for DeBrincat, charging after it. Ferguson out and stalled the play, but it comes out in front, and Giroux unable to skate onto that. Rubens took a whack at it in behind the net. Giroux buffeted along the boards. Gannett knocked down by Kroll, and here is Hollowell ahead. And it's Tavares with Marner loose. John Tavares in, the late man fall, and stopped by Mandalese. Great chance for the Leafs on a 3-on-1, and Philip Kroll is stopped.
Well, once you suck that defenseman up into the neutral zone, like Rubin stands up, and then you set up the tap play, and then it's a clear 2-on-1 going in, and it turned into a 3-on-1 with the slot shot.
Out at center, Dahlstrom knocked it down. Fraser Minten will flip it in. Manlick in a spurt in the second. Nice pad stop by Mandalese off Minten. Back the other way comes Brassard. Howrlich was on the move, but Minten breaks it up again. It's a couple of good defensive plays for the 18-year-old center this afternoon. And Rafai will steer it back as the Leafs change and back out. Comes Nylander with Holmberg and Morgan, who nearly had a break there, but back the other way comes Lucchini. There's Jake Lucchini cutting to the net. And that one stopped by Ferguson, and the Leafs will clear. At center, it's Nylander. Here's William Nylander, and that deflects off Sanderson and out of play. Leafs with a 2-goal lead had a chance on this 3-on-1, but Mandalese makes the stop.
Home of Extreme. WWE Extreme Rules. Sign into Sportsnet now with your cable provider or subscribe on snnow.ca. WWE Extreme Rules. Sign into Sportsnet now with your cable provider or subscribe on snnow.ca.
Bubbles. Bubbles, bubbles, bubbles. There are bubbles everywhere. As an Expedia member, you earn points on top of your airline miles, so you can go and see even more of all the world's bubbles.
The best part of running my small business is my customers. So when they said, Franklin, you gotta go digital. With Visa's help, I'm on it. I can pay my people right after their shift. And sell to new customers. New customer. Even connect with them online. Turns out, I like digital. Nice shirt.
Supporting small impacts us all. Visa, working for small businesses.
Unibet casino games have just arrived in Ontario, and so is Nigel.
I'm, how you say, going loony for loonies.
Take our slots for a spin.
Very loony.
Or try your hand at table games.
Mega loony.
We even have a live dealer casino.
So I got too loony there.
Download Unibet and start playing hundreds of online casino games today.
Don't miss WWE Extreme Rules. Subscribe on snnow.ca.
This afternoon, Sens fans got their first look at newcomers Claude Giroux and Alex DeBrincat, and tonight Leaf fans get to see their 60-goal scorer back in action. What will Austin Matthews have in store for us this season? His preseason starts tonight in Game 2 of our doubleheader. Chris Gary, I have to say, after watching Austin Matthews and the goal he scored at training camp yesterday, I know it's early, but Leaf fans have a pretty good reason to be excited about this guy now.
Yeah, and he's at camp this year and in the preseason. Gary, something he didn't do last year, and we know how he finished, but
beside that, right, Chris?
Yeah, one goal in the month of October in 6 games, missed the first 3.
You miss training camp and you throw in another 10 games that you're not healthy at the end of the day, and you still put up 60 plus. That's something. The sky's the limit, and where will it end this year? I mean, if he stays healthy, and the team is projected to be as solid as they were last year, and it's put up some crazy numbers.
Now we have seen Marner this afternoon, not with Matthews. Matthews will be with Bunting and Calle Yarncroke tonight, but
it's the luxury that they play together all year. They know they have chemistry, so they split them up. They put them with other guys, give other players a chance to play with some real good players.
David Camp was shot off target on a setup from Zach Aston Reese, who's been noticeable today in the hitting department, which is his signature. Brandstrom going at Aston Reese. Board battle continues. Puck loose for Giroux. And out it comes for Stutzle center, but tapped back in by Giordano. Now Claude Giroux's in against Giordano. And across for DeBrincat, too. Couldn't get the one-timer away. Sanderson shoots it wide. Hamonic moves up. Justin Hall rolls it back down, and Sanderson back to retrieve as the Leafs change. Stretch pass for Stutzle. Back it comes, and Hamonic's shot knocked down in front. He'll chase after it, get a loose puck to the line. Backhanded by Sanderson. Up onto the netting with 7:03 left here in the first game of our doubleheader on Sportsnet.
What's the move? On a wall out. Catch a groove. She said, where you going? What's the move? On a wall out. Catch a groove. What's the move?
Facing expensive vitamin C creams with dull results? Olay brightens it up with Olay Vitamin C. Gives you 2 times brighter skin. Hydrates better than the $400 cream. Olay. Face anything.
This Fanceroni pepperoni is fancy.
Am I fancy enough for the Fanceroni? I'm wearing cargo shorts.
But Tim, so am I.
Walk in and walk out with a new Fanceroni pepperoni. Pepperoni, pepperoni.
Repower your boating experience at Alberni Power and Marine, the largest Mercury dealership in Canada.
When it feels like all that's left is work hard, it's time to play again. Easily find your next favorite game with Bodog.net. Free casino games, poker tips, and sports odds. make them play.
Well, he played on a team loaded full of stars in Pittsburgh, and he knows when you are a supporting cast to those guys, you got to do all the little things, and that's get in the corners, dust up pucks, finish your checks, battle hard. And I think Zach Aston Reese has done that. He's on a PTO here for the Maple Leafs. You got to prove yourself, but you got to do what you do best. And I think all night long he's consistently just played a hard game, finished all his checks, and that's what you're going to get out of him on a nightly basis. And there is room for guys like that in your lineup. You need guys who come out and got some sandpaper.
One of 41 NHL players on PTOs at the moment, and I think a lot of people thought Zach Aston Reese would have been signed.
Molson Canadian Leafs Hockey on Sportsnet. Brought to you by Molson Canadian. Our beer. Hockey's beer.
We all know how tough it is for a goaltender to come in mid-game, and one of these goalies came in halfway through, Mandalese, and then Ferguson came in for the third period, and no blemishes yet.
Max Gannett in deep. There's Harlech battling there along with Kroll. And they continue to go at it. Helmet comes off Kroll. He's got to go to the bench. And Harlech's got it. Looking to feed it to Brassard. Senators spending some time in the league zone here. Looking for Del Call. Back for Harlech, who looked like he was headed off and now does go to the Ottawa bench. And finally the Leafs come up with it, and it's Tavares across for Marner, who will swing it down into the Ottawa zone and get a change. Giroux's pass fails to hit the tape, and Giordano back to Hall ahead, and that one will get dumped in. Zach Aston Reese back on the ice. Just 32 NHL goals, but he's a defensive specialist. And over his time in the league, he is plus 39. So a higher plus than an offensive plus.
With all the offensive talent that you have, you need guys like Kemp. And you need guys like Aston Reese and Yarncrow, guys who play with a defensive conscience. You got enough firepower. You got to be able to have guys that go out there and shut lines down.
And that shutdown line for this game, with the puck in the Ottawa zone, frozen by Mandalese, will step aside. 3-1 Toronto.
NHLShop.ca, the official online store of the NHL and Canada's largest selection of authentic NHL fan gear. Shop now and get today's special offer.
You want to know if your sugar is fair trade, if the beans used in your coffee are ethical, that your cosmetics are not tested on animals, where your sneakers were made, and how that company treats their employees. If oil and gas came with a label, you would learn Canada's industry is working to reduce greenhouse gas emissions through innovative technologies. This matters because oil and gas will continue to play greenhouse gas emissions through innovative technologies. This matters because oil and gas will continue to play a key role as renewable energy sources are adopted. Learn more at madethecanadianway.ca.
Order for Jorge.
Thanks.
Take it easy.
Jorge! It's trivia night!
Can't tonight. Have fun.
Tickets here. Front row tickets, great price.
I'm good, thanks.
Nope. Jorge, hang later?
Hey, next time.
Hey, sure you don't want to come?
Sure you don't want to stay?
For your most brilliant smile, Crest has you covered.
Nice smile, Brad. Nice. Thanks.
White, up to 100% more stain removal. Smile, Crest has you covered.
After every Jays game, Blair and Barker break it down on Jays Talk. Listen on Apple and Spotify.
50 years ago today, Paul Henderson started what was a historic stretch of game-winning goals at the 1972 Summit Series. This Game 6 winner, that led to the Game 7 winner and the Game 8 winner that made history. And on Wednesday, the Maple Leafs will honor the anniversary of that historic goal. Guys.
Paul Henderson scored in each game in Moscow. And as Sean mentioned, 3 straight game winners. The Game 7 game winner, one of the most beautiful goals of all time. And the Game 8 game winner, the biggest goal of all time.
You remember where you were when that happened. I mean, in your life. You know, grade school in the gym with all the TVs on those big wheelie carts and big televisions, sitting in a pile watching it and cheering on Team Canada.
Gary, my biggest thrill as a fan was I won the lottery for tickets for Game 2 here in Toronto at Maple Leaf Gardens. And the Pete Mahovlich goal is probably the greatest goal I ever saw live. The shorthanded one in an atmosphere that was unlike anything else after that shocking loss in Game 1. And of all league, Robert Cole was calling all the action on radio. Great Foster Hewitt on television. Here's William Nylander. Holding on, back to the line, and it skips past Dahlstrom. 4.5 to go here in the third. Nylander's been dangerous all day. That pass broken up, and Gambrell will shift gears back through center and roll it down. Crawl into the Ottawa zone, a solo mission. He'll just flip in and head to the bench on a change. Nice move by Jarventi. There's Jarventi cutting in with the shot off the stick of Hall. Zaitsev sends it across. Brandstrom, a nice move, and a shot goes high over the shoulder of Ferguson. Back it comes. Giordano's going to get the geet on a hold.
3:41 to go. This comes at a good time. The Senators' first power play looked pretty good. They had a lot of end zone time possession. As we look at down low, here's the arm that gets around Claude Giroux down behind the net. With 3:41 to go, the Sens will have a chance to try to tighten this thing up. Remember, it was Tim Stützle that scored the first goal of this game on a long stretch play, short side goal, and then in a matter of 2 minutes and 14 seconds, you see the Leafs just turn this game around, and it's been that way ever since. And this is an opportunity for the Senators to see if they can't cut into this lead the Leafs has.
And DJ Smith hasn't had much time to work his guys through the power play that he wants to see. They did have the one good look on that hot pass from DeBrincat that Giroux was unable to redirect. And it looked like they had some things going on that last power play with, as you mentioned, 5 shots on Ferguson. And it looked like they had some things going on that last power play with, as you mentioned, 5 shots on Ferguson. Here's Sanderson, and he gives it up at center. And Marner back to Hall. Marner, such a tremendous year last year in a penalty-killing role for the Maple Leafs, who were 8th in that department. Senators with the 20th best power play. They haven't been top 10 since 08-09, but they're going to be better than 20th, you would think, this year with the people that they can put out there. Now Brandstrom kicks it back, and Stützle through center. Over the line as it goes to DeBrincat. Stützle ran into Tavares, got some room there. And, excuse me, that was 81 Hollowell that he ran over. There's that cross-ice pass. DeBrincat in front. And that one went past Brassard on the doorstep. Back to DeBrincat. And that one knocked down. Comes back to the line again for Giroux. Stützle, Brandstrom. Now the goaltender Mandolese to the bench for an extra attacker. That one batted out of midair by Crawl. The extra man on the ice is Lucchini to the net. And now kicked back out of the reach of DeBrincat. They'll have to go back to get it. 2 minutes left in the third. Extra attacker and a power play. 6-on-4 for Ottawa. From the corner, it's Lucchini trying to get it loose, and Fraser Minton to the line, held in by Sanderson. Steve's out now in a penalty-killing role with 18-year-old Fraser Minton. Minton in a battle, and now Giordano's back on the ice. So the Leafs back at full strength at 6-on-5. DeBrincat. Stutzla. Intercepted there, and out it comes for Giordano. Takes a look. He's got Steves looking for number 2, and he's got it. Steves with a pair on the day, both set up by Mark Giordano. 4-1 Maple Leafs.
Well, they gave up the first one of the game, but they've gotten the last 4. And it started in the second period. They came out, the pace picked up, and the goals started to find their way in. That was Hall from out on the right side, and then Nylander's going to wait out Zaitsev and find Malgin on the back door. Simmons to find their way in. That was Hall from out on the right side, and then Nylander's going to wait out Zaitsev and find Malgin on the back door. Simmons lays it to Hall over to the one-timer from the half wall that goes off Steves' skate. And then Giordano just waits out Jake Sanderson until Steves can get position coming up the ice. And he just lays it out in front of him for the soft touch into the wide open net. And the Leafs will take this one home this afternoon.
Adam Gaudette cycling it down for Simmons. Wayne Simmons leaned on by Rubens. Gaudette back after it here in the final minute. Gaudette along the boards, it played to the line, and it got past Rafai and out.
40 left.
Christian Rubens, lead feed for Gambrell. Gambrell knocked down. Joey Anderson there. Dalcole battling for it. Sokolov out as well as it comes loose for Dahlstrom. And it slides down into the Ottawa zone with the clock draining again. These two franchises meet, 2 different lineups here tonight at 7 o'clock. But the Leafs have won the first of the doubleheader, the final 4-1 here this afternoon.
A real well-played game, and you look at the first game, exhibition game of your preseason, you can't help but notice the pace of the game was fantastic. The skill sets, I mean, these players look like they're in season form. And for the Maple Leafs, seeing William Nylander play the way he did and Dennis Malgin, who really stepped it up in this game as well. That's a real good sign for Sheldon Keefe, seeing that kind of play from them.
Now it's time for the Molson Canadian 3 Stars. You mentioned Malgin, who had that great chemistry with Nylander today. Justin Hall, Notre Dame product with a pair of goals, including a clincher into an empty net. A reminder, the Jays and Rays, 5:30 Eastern time as they continue. And we'll be back on Sportsnet 1 just a little bit later tonight at 7 o'clock. With the second game of the doubleheader. Leafs win 4-1. So long, everybody.